Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Thought today we'd have a look at one other option when dealing with old cars, and that is preservation, or in this case specifically what they call anastylosis in the architectural world. Here we have a machine celebrating its 100th birthday this year. It's 1926 Ford Model T. Let's have a closer look, and I'll kind of show you what my intent was with this car and kind of try to explain why. I'd been looking for quite a while for a Model T coupe, late model like this, and Matt from Strong's Garage found this one and called me right away and said, "I found your car," and he was right, and I absolutely love it. Let's have a walk around this nice original car. So first thing we see is that this car is far from a virgin princess. This car has had a lot of life and a lot of adventures. In a case like this, I thought maybe this is something that we should preserve, hence preservation. Obviously, that's not really going to convince anybody that that's untouched. So what set this car apart when I got it was that it, despite being rather run down, ragged and dented and kind of shabby, was that it's in its more or less unrebuilt state. The car was probably parked around or shortly after the Second World War. It has sat outside a lot, but not the whole time. I think it was probably moved into a barn probably 70 years ago and has sat more or less like this since. When I looked at it, I decided that the best thing to do here would be to preserve the car as much as possible and return it to roadworthy condition, which it is. This is a plated, insured, registered car that I drive several times a week. We're going to do a series this year of just running errands in a car like this. Just want to see how much you can still do with a 100-year-old car, and should be fun. This is not something I'd consider for a 1970s project, but something old like this, I think preserving the car's history and story is maybe worth more than a shiny, perfect example. Probably could have made a very nice restoration out of this, but frankly there's lots of restored Ts out there, and I don't think that they're as interesting as one that's not restored. So I haven't done the interior yet in the Model T, but I do have the kit, and I'm having so much fun with it the way it is that I'm not really in a hurry to get the interior done, so that I'd have to go put on clean clothes and not be able to take the dog with me when I wanted to go for a drive. So I've left it the way it is for now. The problem I had when it came to putting this car back together was that there was enough rust in it that you couldn't really use it the way it was, and so it was going to need a certain amount of restoration just to be structurally valid again. And I was talking to my friend who's in historical building preservation, and I was explaining to him what I thought I might do for the car, and he said, "Oh, that's anastylosis," which is what they do with building projects to restore ancient buildings, or really anything that's ancient. The idea is that you would do as little intrusive work as possible, preserve as much of the original as possible, and do not try to hide your repairs. Make them really obvious so that everybody knows what's original and what's been restored. And so I went about this car that way, and I'll show you guys a few things and explain why and why I think it was the right answer. We come to the rear of the car here. You can see that this panel was very badly rusted out. In fact, the whole bottom of it was missing, and there was so little structure behind it that it wouldn't hold the spare tire and wheel anymore. So that had to be redone. You can buy this panel here, and I do have it, and I bought it, and then I thought, where does that stop, right? Because if you replace this panel, then you can see here, this panel needed a bunch of repairs, and then you get going, and next thing you know, you've got new metal in the bottom half of the car, and then there's primer or whatever, or you're trying to blend it and match it. And then I started thinking, well, why don't we just restore it so that it's functional and preserve the original sheet metal? So that's what I did, even though it's very thin here. We can see this line here, and what I've done is remanufactured a bottom half of the rear pan and slid it down inside the original pan and glued it in with structural adhesive, and I rebuilt the spare tire support. This has allowed me to save the original pan and not do any cosmetic work on the outside of the car, but allow it to be airtight, watertight, safe again. And you can see, made no effort to hide where the repairs are. All I've done is paint them black so that they look like holes, and that has worked really well. Going on 5 years of driving this car, and it looks exactly like the day I finished it. We can see another anastylosis repair here. The black is the new repair, and it is cut in like this on the inside, glued in there, and it is solid and safe and keeps exhaust out, which is important. These cars, the muffler is kind of just hangs there, and so the exhaust can't be getting in the car. So the best thing about this is not just that the repairs are structural, but that from more than a few feet away you can't tell that anything was ever done to the car. And we preserved all the original sheet metal as much as was there. The only thing that you can see is where there was actually a hole. Even where the metal was thin, I left it. I've done the same thing here. You can see in here that the bottom inch or so of this was all rusted away, but like even where it's just a tiny little bit of material left, I was able to preserve it all. It's all sealed with structural adhesive. Doesn't mean that it can't be restored in the future, but I think in the future we're going to see that people will appreciate that I didn't chop in a big patch panel here and weld it and mud over it. Just leave it like this. And the doors were in lovely condition, so was the cowl. There was a lot of good parts on this car. I've got my big Model T exhaust clamp in here. I also keep my super cool biplane radiator ornament in here for when you got to go to a show or something. Kids just love that, and the propeller spins around. Just an amazing donation from a viewer. Thank you again. I did do a few repairs on the body. A tree had fallen on it at some time, so the roof was kind of pushed over, so that had to be all straightened out. The top of the door was all pushed down there, so that had to be fixed. The trunk lid was in really terrible condition from all the rock picking time, so I've kind of beat it back roughly into shape. I didn't want it really any better than the rest of the car, so I was very limited as to what I could do in terms of repairs, but it wouldn't even open or close when I got it, and now it works fine. It was split there, so I've done a little weld there. I suppose I should paint over that, but whatever. I decided I wasn't going to touch any of this stuff. I love all this, all these old farmer repairs. There's a big hunk of steel behind here, and they've just used that to kind of hold the fender together. Up here we've got some more of that. Here we got some screws and a big chunk of iron behind there bracing that up. Here we've got some pot kettle repair washers, and a chunk of a sign or a coffee can has been put in here. It's much softer steel than the original Ford steel, but it's hanging together. The engine's all been rebuilt, but no effort really put into making it look newer than the rest of the car. I think that would spoil it. So that's just fine the way it is. Another lovely donation from our friend Clayton, Mr. Model T, donated this beautiful Motometer temp gauge. And you can see she's just about up to operating temperature, and I know it's supposed to face the other way. This was not like this originally. This was done probably during the Second World War sometime. You can see underneath it says Valvoline. It's probably a valuable sign today, but somebody back in the day chopped that sign up and made it into a visor. And I think it would be a real shame to take all that off. I just thought it would be fun to have a walk around and talk about preservation. I know we've been talking about restoration and drivers and beaters and whatever. This would be my preferred way of approaching a car of this age if it's in fairly original condition. This thing is not completely original. It was painted with a brush at one time, but all of that has, well, not all of it, but most of it is washed off. And that is Henry Ford green on there. I think in a case like this that restoring this car would not really make it more interesting in any way. It would make it less interesting and erase all of its history, which is kind of what this is all about, is the history. Nobody's driving a Model T because it's the best choice for today. I think preserving the history of these cars is kind of the highest level that we can hope for. and I just love the car. Plus, I never worry about it if it gets dirty. I drive it down gravel roads. We don't have to get precious about it, and yet it is still very presentable, and I just love it. I think it looks great. This is how they would have looked when they were 10, 15, 20 years old, and it just turned 100. I would not say that this approach is for every car. Certainly there's not much value in preserving somebody's historic Bondo patch job from 1975. Here we have the final example of that. That's not anything that I'm concerned about preserving. This car is a case where you would have to do a complete restoration to make this car valid in any way, and in this particular case it's very unlikely, as it is so rusty. It's probably not worth it. You could always do anything, but is it the right answer? With this old Dodge, I think you'd be crazy to try and restore it, and if you were to do anything with this car, I think that maybe a preservation approach would be the best. It is relatively solid and largely untouched, which is, I think, if you're going to talk about doing a preservation, the car should be largely original. There's no point preserving somebody else's bad restoration or patch job. Ditto this old Plymouth here. This is an almost completely original car. They don't have enough value to be worth restoring, so the best thing you could do with a car like this would be to, get it mechanically sound and safe, and keep running it as is. It's not a particularly valuable car, but it is a car that they're not making anymore, and it's nice and complete. It's uncrashed, and it is, probably a car that could be preserved. That's why it's inside. I'd like to do that with this car someday. I've got this Buick here I'm working on, and this car, if the other side was as good as this side, would be a candidate for a preservation job. But unfortunately the other side has been messed with, and therefore it warrants a complete repaint. And this is not a 100-year-old car, and I don't think that seeing this one running around in this condition really adds to its value or interest. So that would not be the case here. This is going to get complete paint and be more or less looking like a new car again. With this little series, we've been talking about different ways to approach the whole classic car hobby, and here we have something that I think is a really fun car, and very little effort other than making it safe and presentable. This same technique would apply to anything, of this era. I think a lot of these pre-war cars are getting hard to find in original condition, and so preservation might be the way to go. And here we have another example of a car that preservation is probably not the approach to take on this thing. I think by the time you replaced all the pieces that were beyond repair, you would be left with, well, not much. So this car is straddling the line between donor and full-on restoration, and hope you guys are looking forward to that, because we'll be doing that too. A lot of the fun of this car was taking the body right off and taking it right down and doing the engine and the rear end and the transmission and the frame and all the suspension and all the brakes, and then putting it all back together and making it look like you didn't do anything. I like to think that we succeeded here. I think the car looks exactly how I wanted it to when I started this project. Like, I couldn't be happier. Well, all that said, my favorite thing is still firing this thing up and going for a drive, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Cheers. Hey, thanks guys for checking out the video today. Hope you enjoyed it and found something to think about. And we'll see everybody on Saturday, because we got lots more of the regular contributor.
Same old shit.